I'm working on a project where I need this piece of aluminum bar stock to fit perfectly into this piece of plywood. So that means that I need to run a dado or a groove into the plywood. But how exactly do I cut this groove so that it has a nice piston fit? Traditionally, what you'll see people do is make a series of test cuts, nudging the fence a little closer or farther away from the blade until they get it just right. And of course, you can get the calipers out and try to measure for an exact fit, but even that almost always requires a little more tapping and adjusting. Now, the problem is that neither one of these methods are very quick or repeatable. So every time you have to make a new or even a different size dado or groove, you're stuck going through this whole process all over again. There is a much simpler and accurate way to cut dados and grooves here at the table saw. And the best part is we can do this with any blade, with any width dado, and we actually don't have to measure anything at all. Now, there are three super important things that we need to take note of before we do this. We want this shim to be roughly the same length as our rip fence. I have made a few of these now, so I actually have one that's longer than my rip fence, but this is going to open up a whole bunch of different possibilities for different operations here at the saw. The blade that we use to make this shim needs to be the same blade that we plan on using to cut our grooves or dados to begin with. Think of the shim and the blade as like a matched set. And we want to make this out of material that has a nice jointed edge because we're going to run this against the rip fence. And as with most things, the better we set ourselves up to begin with, the better results we're going to have in the end. I'm choosing to use this 12mm Baltic birch plywood for my shim, but you can use solid wood as well. I'm going to cut two pieces about 6 inches wide, making sure not to move my fence from this location after I make the second cut. Then I'll raise the blade all the way up, and while holding one of the pieces against the fence, I'll push the other piece into the blade about 3 or 4 inches and then pull it away from the blade. Now I'm going to swap the two pieces, and while holding the one that I just cut up against the fence, I'll cut the second piece all the way until the last 3 or 4 inches of it, and then I'll pull it away from the blade. Then I'm going to lower the blade back down to a normal operating height and swap the pieces once more, turning the piece that I just cut over and placing it back against the fence and flipping the second piece over end for end. They should now perfectly puzzle piece together. Now I can run them both through the saw, keeping them both tight against the fence like normal and driving them through using the piece against the fence as sort of a push stick. When the shim is cut free, I'll keep driving the piece against the fence all the way through the blade just like a normal cut, and I'll gently let the other piece fall away from the blade. And now we have a perfect blade width shim to make our dados and grooves. Okay, so here's how it works. My first pass is made with the material that I plan on putting in the dado placed between the fence and the material that I'm cutting. So in this case, it's just the bar stock. Once I've made that initial pass, I'll remove the bar stock and replace it with my shim, and then I'll make the second pass. Now in this case, my bar stock is thin enough that I only need a groove that's just a little bit wider than my blade is itself, so I only have to make the two passes. But as you can see here, I do indeed have a perfect fit. The exact same rules apply to wider material. Run the first pass with the material between the fence and the material being cut, then remove said material, replace it with the shim to make a second pass. Then remove the shim and take out the waste between those two cuts. Now, if you're finding yourself wondering if this shim is even necessary at all, the answer is 100% absolutely yes. If you just run material against the fence and then remove it and make another pass against the fence without the shim, your dado will be exactly one blade width too wide. The shim offsets the cut and accounts for the blade width, which is why it's so important to make this shim with the same blade that you plan on cutting your dados and grooves with. So by taking a few minutes just to make this shim, we now have a way to make repeatable dados and grooves here at the table saw without the measuring and testing and setup that comes with doing things the traditional way, which is going to save us a ton of time down the road. I highly recommend writing down the blade information on this shim, since this shim only works with that blade, and storing it somewhere safe for the next time you need it. Another thing to add here is that if you do desire a little less than perfect fit, like say a little more extra room for glue, just run a bit of masking tape along the material that's going to go into the dado before making that first pass, just to make it a little bit thicker. Masking tapes are between about 4 to 6/1000 of an inch thick, so this should give you plenty of room for glue if necessary. And if for some reason you find that the cut is already a little too wide, you can close it up by taping the shim itself instead of the material going into the dado. Also, if you want a helpful tip to quickly and easily set the depth of your dados and grooves, my last video covered this exact thing. It's 2 minutes that may help quite a bit. All right, so for those of you that stayed to watch the whole video but may have legitimate safety concerns, I want to go over a couple things real quick. One, why the high blade height when we made those couple of cuts? This is so that we can get as close to a square or vertical cut as possible with a circular blade. It's not that it's any more dangerous, it's just that it's not normally necessary. If you leave the blade at normal operating height, it creates more of a ramp effect, and that leaves more room for error when the two pieces hook together. A blade that's raised that high can be a bit intimidating, so that's why we gave ourselves that 3 or 4 inches to keep our hands away from the blade. 2, does this present any more of a chance for kickback? No more than any other operation. The piece held against the fence is just acting as the fence itself, and the whole reason that we made the 2 pieces hook together is so that the piece against the fence can push the shim through cleanly without it getting trapped between that piece and the spinning blade when it breaks free, which would then present a chance for kickback. And as far as our hands being anywhere near the blade, if you recall, we made these pieces starting out with about 6-inch wide boards. So that was to give us plenty of safe space between the fence and the blade. Some of you may remember a video that I did quite some time ago where we made blade width shims for perfect table saw half laps and for perfect miter splines. I did this technique as well back then, but I cut the shims a little bit differently. You might find that that method works better or even worse for you, but I'll leave a link to those videos in the description for you just in case. That's all I've got for you guys today. Thanks so much for watching as always. We'll see you in the next video.